In the last few months, we went from obliterating buildings as Goku to slicing up noobs with Darth Vader's lightsaber, and Fortnite isn't slowing down. Deku from My Hero Academia is now in-game, and this collab reveals Epic's secret plan for crossovers and mythics dropping throughout the next few years. But things weren't always this insane. In fact, just when Fortnite fans thought that all collabs would be budget ripoffs, Epic Games did the unthinkable with the Avengers X Fortnite mode. Not only could you play as Thanos, but this introduced the very first mythic item, making the Infinity Gauntlet a defining moment in Fortnite's history. A year later, Season 7 would take things to the next level and almost ruin the chance of mythics ever returning. The Infinity Blade appeared in normal matches. It was at the same spot every single game. It was so broken, Epic was forced to delete it after a few days. So instead, they went back to a safer option, Marvel, and this time the Avengers crossover was crazier than ever. They added 8 mythics into a single LTM, like Captain America's shield and Iron Man's repulsors. These were incredibly popular, and so were items like Hawkeye's bow, Stormbreaker, and even Shatari jetpacks. The list was stacked, but we wouldn't see mythics like this in regular matches until Season X with the Batman crossover. Not only did we have a Gotham City POI, but it was full of brand new weapons like the explosive Batarang. These were ridiculously fun to use, but sadly weren't in the game for very long. As for the Batman grapple gun, this was an obvious reskin of the grappler, but it lets you deploy your glider. In Chapter 2, things started to move up a notch. The most requested weapon in history was about to arrive, along with the rarest item of all time. The Mythic Goldfish looked like a trophy, which made sense because this thing was basically the ultimate prize. If you threw it at someone, it would deal 200 damage, but there was a huge catch. This was so rare that nobody even knew about it for the first couple weeks, and quickly people realized that it had a 1 in 1 million chance of spawning. At least we were guaranteed to enjoy the most requested mythics of the year, lightsabers. Yeah, thanks to the Star Wars Live event, we were given all sorts like Kylo Ren's, Luke Skywalker's, and even Mace Windu. They were only around for a few weeks because Epic Games were preparing for a massive year in 2020. With Season 2, the mythic system was changed entirely. They weren't just random weapons anymore. Now you actually had to fight a boss to earn them. Fortnite didn't exactly do a test run of this idea. They just dove headfirst into it, adding 7 mythics overnight. If you eliminated Sky, you get the first ever mythic version of the Scar, and let me tell ya, everyone was trying to get this. She even had a bonus item called Sky's Grappler, and this was insanely broken because it had unlimited uses, and you can already guess how overpowered that is when you pair it with a choppa. It's not the only weapon that broke records. Deadpool was the first crossover in the Battle Pass, and he brought his own mythic to celebrate, the dual hand cannons. Everyone knows how OP a regular deagle is, and now we had 2 of them. If you weren't shocked enough, every time you hit an enemy, it would heal you with 3 HP. It was ridiculous. And the insanity just kept coming because Brutus had a mythic version of the minigun, Midas had a sickening drum gun, and TNTina got the most OP of all with the Kaboom Bow. No matter how much you charged this thing up, it did maximum damage, and yeah, it had unlimited ammo because why not? And that's when they were all deleted overnight as Fortnite moved into Season 3. This time there were only 3 bosses on the map, but they all dropped 2 mythics each. Remember the Batman grapple gun? Well, it was now called the Glider Gun, and Jules was the new owner who also dropped a mythic drum gun. But in the forest, you'd have to be extremely lucky to find this next item because it only had a 1 in 10,000 chance of spawning. You could be walking around minding your own business and come across a golden mushroom, and let me tell you, this thing was broken. It would give you full shield immediately, no strings attached, which was just busted. It still wasn't as sought after though as Kit's mythics, because this innocent looking cat dropped the most insane combo of the season. Eliminating him would not only give you a charged shotgun, but a shockwave launcher too, and if you paired them together, it would literally shred people in an instant. One of the most forgotten mythics of Chapter 2 belonged to Ocean, and she dropped a burst AR, but more importantly, a mythic Chug Jug. Yep, this thing had unlimited uses and would recharge over time, but we all know how slow Chug Jugs are, and nobody really paid attention to this thing. Now we've arrived in Chapter 2 Season 4, the Marvel season, which had the most mythics that have ever appeared in Fortnite to date. I literally don't have time to go through all of them, but there are some gems in here like the Doctor Doom's gauntlets and Iron Man's Unibeam. The Unibeam was especially broken, and it's remembered as the most toxic mythic of the entire season. It can straight up blast anyone through multiple walls. It was ridiculous. Fortnite even added the ballers back, but not in the way you think. This came in the form of Groot's Bramble Shield, and it just turned you into a baller, even though half the time you got flung across the map. In total, the Marvel season had 14 mythics, and 2 of them weren't even for a crossover. In October, Fortnitemares made its Chapter 2 debut, and alongside it, we got Midas's Revenge, adding a Shadow Drum Gun and a Witch Broom that was basically a portable launch pad. The mythics were only getting better as time went on, with 2021 about to bring the most popular items Fortnite had ever seen. It all started with Season 5. Even though we had the most collabs to date, only 2 characters got their own mythics. The Mandalorian patrolled around the island protecting his crashed ship. To do this, he had plenty of items at his disposal, like the Ambient Sniper Rifle, which he used to aimbot people out of the sky. The Thermal Scope, combined with Mando's jetpack, would let you do some serious damage. But being in the sky means everyone could see you, unlike Predator's cloaking device, which turned you completely invisible. It's the only item in history that lets you do this, at least on purpose. I'm looking at you, the Shadowstone glitch. And I barely even want to talk about the Spire Assassin, who had the most ridiculous mythic of Chapter 2. It literally made people quit the game. This was the Primal Shotgun, which was impossible to fight against, and it eliminated you in the blink of an eye. There was so much backlash against this thing that Epic rushed to find a replacement, swapping it with, ironically, the most useless mythic of all time, the Recycler. I'll admit it was super fun and unique, but it just wasn't strong enough to be worth it. Around the same time, the Mythic Spire boots were added, which gave you a small rotation, but overall wasn't worth it as well. As we approached the end of the chapter, Fortnite had plenty of tricks up its sleeve, with Season 7 introducing some very interesting mythics. Dr. Sloan had a pulse rifle, which sounded powerful, but it was actually weaker than Tony Stark's pulse rifle from Season 4. They redeemed themselves with Zig and Choppy's ray gun, which felt very different and honestly gives me a bit of nostalgia. In preparation for the grand finale, Season 8 brought some insane items that blew everything before it out of the water. Sloan redeemed herself by getting a way better mythic called the Burst Assault Rifle. Everyone loved this thing, and it could beam people from a distance. But then things took a surprising turn. Carnage was in the Battle Pass, and his mythic made us realize exactly why he's called that, because this thing was just crazy overpowered. If you combined it with the pump shotgun, you were unstoppable, letting you deploy your glider, run faster, and pull anyone through walls. To top it off, the Sideways was a huge part of this season, opening portals around the island that block you from building. In here, you could get mythics like the Sideways minigun and rifle, and these both had pretty mixed reviews, but the rifle turned out to be super useful in the right situations. There was also the Sideways Scythe, which could be upgraded to mythic. It was pretty good, and the best part was the siphon it gave. But Chapter 2 had one day that completely broke the internet. After months of waiting, Naruto finally dropped in game alongside the whole crew, and it broke the record for the most liked Fortnite tweet of all time. The Mythic Paper Bomb Kunai released with them, and you could throw them at walls or players to stick and explode. Little did we know, we were just weeks away from the greatest mythic of all time. Nobody was prepared for how good Chapter 3's mythics were about to become. It started off with a bang, introducing the Foundation's Mark 7 rifle, which had a first-person scope and absolutely beamed people. To this day, it's one of the strongest guns we have ever seen in Fortnite, but it was easily overshadowed by the Spider-Man update. His web shooters let you swing around the map and do flips in the air, and it was just so well made. I mean, people compared it to the $60 Avengers game, joking that Fortnite did it better than Marvel themselves. We were all desperate to keep this in the game, but everyone knew it was doomed. Collab items never stuck around, and as the season came to a close, we said goodbye to the web shooters. This is where things went downhill fast, with the Resistance season having the worst mythics we have seen in years. You could only find them by eliminating IO bosses like Huntmaster Saber, who dropped a thermal rifle which had already been in the game for months. The same goes for Sloan and Gunner, who had mythic versions of regular guns like the Striker Burst Rifle and Stinger SMG. In fact, many players thought Gunner's mythic was worse than the normal SMG. It was all worth the trouble though, because Season 3 was about to add the greatest mythic lineup that Fortnite has ever seen. Nobody expected Vibin to have so many insane items, and it all started with the arrival of Darth Vader. While his pickaxe looked like a metal detector, we were still able to use his lightsaber, and this had a special ability that was never seen before. You could throw it at people from a distance, fixing one of the biggest problems the original lightsabers had. Fortnite also brought back the Spidey web shooters, but in a completely different way. It was redesigned and turned into an original item called the Grapple Glove. Well, it wasn't a mythic, I just had to mention this because it shows how popular the web shooters truly were. This was also the first season to let you upgrade to mythics, thanks to the Reality Sapling feature. You can throw this down and let your fruit grow over time, cycling through every rarity until it got to mythic. From this, you could earn a guaranteed auto shotgun, Stinger SMG, Prime Shotgun, and best of all, the Mythic DMR. Fortnite saved the best till last, with the final update of Season 3 adding Dragon Ball into the game. We were given two new items called the Nimbus Cloud and the famous Kamehameha. The cloud worked the same way as the Witch Broom, where it was basically a launch pad, but our attention was always focused on the Kame Mythic. It was very similar to the Uni Beam from Chapter 2, but like 10 times better. There was a fear mechanic that made enemies blind when you attacked them, and nothing was more terrifying than hearing someone charge up the Mythic from the sky. You comboed it with the Nimbus Cloud, you could float in the air and just beam people from above. This Mythic was so popular that one of the most viewed moments of Chapter 3 was a fake clip of someone blasting the battle bus. And so while you could upgrade to Mythic through Reality Saplings, this idea was scrapped at the end of the season and replaced with something way better. Now this mechanic was turned into a gun, introducing the EVOCHROME weapons. They started at green or blue rarity, and every time you dealt damage to someone, it would give XP to your gun. Eventually, it would upgrade in your hand all the way to the Mythic rarity, and let me tell you, the shotgun became super powerful. The best Mythic was given to you after defeating the Herald, who dropped a burst rifle that had 0 bloom and a ton of damage. This was the most underrated weapon of Chapter Chapter 3. We did have some hope when Fortnitemares rolled around, but all we got was a Mythic suppressed SMG from the Inquisitor boss, and it wasn't worth the hassle. Now we're here at the present day with Chapter 4 Season 1 introducing the best loot pool in years. The main boss on the island is the Ageless, and he drops 2 Mythics after being eliminated. One of them is the Excalibur rifle, which is insanely strong. It fires swords that stick to people and explode. Players have been collecting as many Excalibur rifles as possible, and it's quickly becoming the new double pump. But the most fun item has to be the Shockwave hammer, which lets you bounce around the map and do flips. You can bring it down to slam anyone you want, and it'll knock enemies into the storm while dealing amazing damage. I mean, it's a weapon and a vehicle at the same time. What more could you want? But now the latest anime Mythic is here, thanks to the My Hero Academia update. Deku Smash is crazy. It works just like the Kamehameha as you scream while charging up the Mythic. You then punch the air, destroying anything in front of you, and this is about to be insanely fun. I can't wait to use this. That is the entire evolution of Mythic items in Fortnite. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It's been Tommy, and keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.